Hi guys. Look, we just wanted to make a quick video to share with you some of our thoughts about this coronavirus pandemic and just how we're going as a church. And naturally, there's been a lot of questions about why we're making decisions and what the future is going to look like. So I thought I might just ask him a few questions and hopefully this eases some of your concerns and also any of the things that you're thinking about for the future. So Tim.
Hi.
Hi. So Tim, can you explain to us just what we should be thinking as far as the social media and media that we're looking at and relating to regarding this pandemic? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, it's a great question because people are freaking out there. I mean, if you've been to a supermarket, if you've just been on the roads, it feels like Christmas Eve on steroids every day. And I really feel like a few things for us as Christians, those of us that are followers of Jesus, that we can do. First of all, always ask the question, what's not just what's happening to me, but what's happening in the lives of others around me? How can I have my eyes open to the needs of others? Jesus says the law hangs on, love the Lord your God with all your mind, soul, strength, and spirit, and love your neighbor as yourself. We as Christians, we ought to be or always oriented towards the needs of others, and there's so many needs out there at the moment. So this is an opportunity for generosity, and more than anything, whatever room we walk into or whatever shop we walk into, we need to be people that bring peace and calm and love and balance and perspective and wisdom. And can I just say, from a practical level, some of us out there, we need to spend a lot less time on social media, watching commercial news, and just look at the official news briefs from the Prime Minister, from the Premier. We are blessed with having good governance in our nation, and I've watched a number of the press conferences from the Prime Minister and the Premier and the Chief Medical Officers, and they are giving really nuanced but wise guidance to people. So listen to them. They are seeking to steer our community through a very difficult time, and I think stay away from the sensationalism and the armchair experts online would be my advice.
I think that's good advice. Now, Tim, should we be worried if we can't meet as a church for, it could be quite a long time?
Well, this is not our plan A, but this is not unprecedented in church history. 100 years ago, there was churches in our own nation that weren't able to meet when the Spanish flu after World War I hit our nation, and people weren't able to go to church, and when they were able to come to church, they used to have to wear masks, and they were literally burying people in their own churches, and they were having to look after people. Our nation has been through incredible stuff before. People all around the world are acquainted with this sort of stuff, but this is new for us. We are in such an insulated culture that this is new for us, and we need to learn from it. So yes, it's going to be a challenge, and yes, I believe in the corporate, the broad, large gathering of people from different age groups and backgrounds. I love that. But that is not what the church is. The church is people. The first Christians, the first 300 years, the Christians didn't own their own buildings. They met in homes. They met in the marketplace. We're going to keep on doing that. And if we can't meet in homes, or there's issues with that in the future, we have technology available so we can stay connected. We have no excuse to let people be socially isolated during this time.
Great. And so some people are wondering whether we should be meeting in homes altogether, whether that's wise, and what's your response to that?
Yeah, so we as a local church leadership team have made a decision. Until the government tells us that we can't meet in small groups, we're going to continue to do that in a socially responsible way, making sure people aren't sitting next to each other, that people are using hand sanitizer and washing their hands when they come into homes.
And obviously staying away if they're sick.
And definitely people that are vulnerable, that are sick, need to stay away from other people's homes. That's really important. But I feel like we have a massive issue of social isolation in our community already. Loneliness, depression, anxiety, and we have to look after people's holistic care. Already people in our church have reached out to me and said they're anxious about not having church and not being able to have embodied relationships, and so we want to do our very best to be able to be not driven by fear but driven by love, but also making sure it's always informed by wise decision making. So we will encourage people to meet in homes. If you're out there, you're part of our church family, and you're feeling like, you know what, us and our family, we just want to self-isolate. You know what, we don't judge you, and actually that's probably
fine.
best for you guys.
Yeah.
We have to be a community where we agree to disagree, or we have different approaches
Yeah.
for our own decisions. We're not a cult. We don't believe everyone has to do the same thing, okay? So if you need to have some space, if you don't want to meet in other people's homes, if you don't want people coming into your home, you have to have healthy boundaries in that space.
Great. And so on another note, a lot of us have children, and I think that this has been a significant point of conversation in our homes, and our kids are hearing about it. And I just want to ask you, what do you think we can do to navigate this and with our kids, and how can we lead our families and also help our kids to come to terms with what's happening?
I think this is really important. Your children are watching you, and they are hearing you, and they are picking up on your anxieties and your fears. So be careful what you vocalize and you share around them. Children are resilient, but let them experience things in an informed way. Sit down and have a conversation with your children. As a local church, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be providing resources for you as a family to sit down and discuss what it means to trust God, and what it means to do life in a society where there's a lot of sickness, where there's a lot of fear. I also think for your children, sometimes we need to talk to them like they actually have, particularly if they're in primary school. They can understand complicated things.
That's right.
They can understand that this is a season and that it will pass, and that they can trust the Lord in this season. So I really think that this is an opportunity for us. You know, children's ministry for our church, it's not just about let's ship the kids off to that room and someone else will deal with them. No, the primary way that we shape and form young lives is through the family. Like, parents, carers, they are the ones spending the most time with children. 1 hour on a Sunday is not going to necessarily fundamentally change someone's worldview, but what you do in the home can make a big difference to forming young lives, giving them confidence, giving them an understanding of what it means to have wisdom and faith. So I just think this is an opportunity for us as families to really invest into our children at this time.
That's good. And look, final question that I have is, what can we do practically to actually just live out what it means to love our neighbours?
It's a great question. I mean, there's a Facebook group going on around in South Australia called Love Your Neighbour SA, started by a Christian pastor, and people from all walks of life are asking the question, how do I love my neighbour? Isn't that great? People in our society are thinking about their neighbours, their sick and their elderly neighbours. Just yesterday I was talking to a young woman in our church, Taylor, who was sharing about how she went and chatted with a neighbour, and her roommate went and asked for some, can we help in any practical ways with your washing, with your gardens, with your yard, with your shopping? And actually this spirit of generosity is beautiful. We're definitely going to be cultivating that in our discipleship groups, in our house churches, through teaching on Sunday. We're going to be talking about what it looks like to be the people of God on mission and in fellowship in these times.
And you spoke about it earlier, but isolation is such a significant thing in our country, and even before this coronavirus, I think social isolation is a major issue, and so
Absolutely.
This is actually making that far worse, and there's a lot of fear with that. So my encouragement to you is just get on the phone. A lot of people you can't see them in person, but there are a lot of people who are completely isolated, and a phone call, a text message, a handwritten letter, any practical ways. I mean, we've got to think of ways to actually bless other people, but we just need to be on the lookout for opportunities for the many, many isolated people, and make sure that you're not isolating yourself either, because it's really important to be connected at this time. So look, thank you so much.
I just remembered a quote.
Yeah.
I don't know who it's from. Maybe Erwin McManus. It's the opposite of fear. Sorry, I'll get it.
You'll get
Faith is not the absence of fear, but the absence of self. And at this time, there might be fear, there might be anxiety. But the goal of your life is not to have no fears and no anxieties. The goal is to say that my life is not just about me. And if you keep your eyes on Him And if you seek first Him and you say, God, I want to be used to bless others, I believe that you're going to feel a lot more healthy, you're going to feel a lot more happy, and you're going to be in alignment for God's purpose for your life. So
so let's not be insular in this time and be thinking about just ourselves. Let's be thinking about those around us. And we trust that this next season, no matter how it looks, that we're all going to be strengthened in God in this time, and we're going to look out for one another. So bless you, and thanks for watching.
Bless you guys. Get off social media now.